Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to PTV World. I'm your host, Umar Khalid Butt. The World Environment Day is today, and the theme for this year is ecosystem restoration. What's even more important for a country like Pakistan is that it is hosting globally this World Environment Day. Why? Because Pakistan's efforts to curtail the effects of climate change have been appreciated the world over. And that is why when we talk of ecosystem restoration, it was decided that Pakistan be the host of this World Environment Day to give the entire world an example of what it has been doing, what its forces and its people have been doing. And speaking of forces, our three forces have been involved in curtailing the effects of climate change one way or the other. In this show, we will be talking about how Pakistan Navy is curtailing the effects of climate change through the different efforts that it is putting forward. We'll come back with our guests, but before that, let's watch this short report.
World Environment Day is the United Nations Day for encouraging worldwide awareness and action to protect our environment. The theme for 2021 World Environment Day is ecosystem restoration. Earth is clearly urging a call to action. Australian fires, heat records, and the worst low-cost invasion in Kenya. And now we face COVID-19, a worldwide health pandemic linked to the health of our ecosystem. This year, Pakistan is hosting the day in partnership with the United Nations Environmental Program. It is the United Nations flagship day for promoting worldwide awareness and action for the environment. There are significant green initiatives taken by the government under the Clean and Green Pakistan initiative, including the 10 billion tree tsunami, a new electric vehicle policy, green jobs initiatives that demonstrate Pakistan's commitment to combating climate crisis, protecting biological diversity, and promoting ecosystem restoration. The government of Pakistan started massive afforestation drive through a billion tree tsunami. The ambitious project included restoring mangroves, increasing forest cover, and planting trees in urban settings. Recently, Pakistan launched a new platform called the Ecosystem Restoration Fund to create green jobs, support nature-based solutions to fight climate change, and promote biodiversity conservation. Prime Minister of Pakistan Imran Khan has taken pertinent initiatives to expand the country's forests by planting 10 billion trees over 5 years. Pakistan's government is fully committed to addressing the issue of climate change, including through the 10 billion tree initiative to restore and enhance over 1 million hectares of forest by 2023.
Climate change and the preservation of the environment is primordial and very important to Pakistan. So you can see different efforts that have been put forward by the government of Pakistan, like the 10 billion tree tsunami, the use of an electric car policy, or the no use of plastic policy, and so many other measures that have been put forward by the government and the forces of Pakistan. Now, in this very show, we will be talking to three different specialists from the Pakistan Navy to talk more about what Pakistan Navy is doing and endeavoring in order to alleviate the effects of climate change and to provide for a cleaner and greener Pakistan. Let me introduce these three guests to you one by one. On my very right is Commodore retired Dr. Anjum Sarfaraz Saab. You are associated with the National Institute of Maritime Affairs, otherwise known as NEMA. Dr. Saab, it's a pleasure to have you for our show.
Thank you very much.
Our second guest is an environmentalist. His name is Dr. Qamar Javed, and he's also associated with the NEMA, that is the National Institute of Maritime Affairs. Dr. Javed Saab, it's a pleasure to have you for our show as well. And our third guest is Commander Faisal Khan Jadoon Saab. You are associated with the Maritime Department of the Pakistan Navy. Thank you, sir, to have joined us. Let's begin with you, Dr. Anjum Sarfaraz. When we talk of ecosystem restoration, of course, this is the theme for this year. How do you see the Pakistani government and the Pakistan Navy's efforts to provide for the restoration of the ecosystem?
So, Pakistan government is making all out efforts to minimize the effects of environment and controlling certain aspects like control of pollution and having trees all over the Pakistan. And in this connection, Pakistan Navy contribution is also tremendous, and especially in the coastal areas, because the marine ecosystem is maintained by the mangroves. and all along the coast, Pakistan Navy, wherever there are naval establishments, they are looking after the mangroves, and they plant the mangroves, and in the past few years, lot many mangroves have been planted. And then in the deep ocean, Pakistan Navy, our Maritime Security Agency, it is continuously monitoring the merchant ships and the warships operating in our coastal waters and in our seas, and they are monitoring that some ship should not discharge its sludge or the sewerage system. And similarly, in the ports also, the Karachi Harbour and PQA, the naval boats, they are also the specially designed naval boats are operating to minimize the effect of pollution in the harbour. So overall, a lot of efforts, continuous efforts is being done by Pakistan Navy in the coastal area, in the deep sea, and as well as inside the harbour to minimize the pollution.
Dr. Qamar Javed, when we talk of the environment, and of course you being an environmentalist, it's very important for Pakistan to understand how to take care of its environment and its biodiversity, especially when we've seen a huge pandemic like COVID-19, where on one hand it has had a lot of negative effects. There has been some positive effects in the form of our ecosystem being regenerated. How can the government of Pakistan and our forces such as the Pakistan Navy endeavor to continue on the same platform and in the same manner?
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to highlight here that the COVID was not a planned activity. This was a pandemic, unforeseen. But on the other side, it has some positive impact. While the whole world is in trouble, it has a good thing for the environment, that the environment got some breathing effect due to this COVID, due to the low level of activities, emissions are less, and environment is breathing well. But this situation, like there is a global response on the COVID, so this would not no longer be there COVID situation there. But on the other side, what the lesson is learned is that the positive effect on the environment due to COVID. We should learn the lesson from this. We should develop such kind of activities and best practices to have similar effect.
All right, and how can we do that?
And
What are those best practices?
And that effect can be, through individual actions. Individuals should do their change their lifestyle pattern. Secondly, at the government level, government should continue with the good policies. The present government being having the flag of the Green Party, so it has introduced also some good policies. And day before yesterday, they have also introduced a launch as response to this World Environment Day. On this very important occasion, they have introduced Green Bond as well. This is a scheme to have some green measures and green response strategies to restore the ecosystem from alpine to the coastline and as well as the marine ecosystem. And for that, you should we need to continue such kind of policies, bring more policies. Billion tree tsunami, it was one activity that has given a very good platform to Pakistan. And Pakistan's image, that was very bad. If you see, last decade, Pakistan's reputation was very bad globally. But this environmental diplomacy or the environmental cause where we invested through any means, this was the initiative in KPK, and then it was expanded to country level, where the Navy is already having some effort on the mangrove side, where its presence is there, and other forces also, and other private and other actors also, they are doing well. So this was recognized at the global level, because the forests, they have contribution towards global emissions, because they are the sink, they are our lungs for the environment. So they have 17 to 20% contribution in the overall global warming effect. So due to that, we got extra edge, and our image across the world is very good now due to this, and due to this we got hosting this year, and this is not this was not a very easy to be the host for such an important occasion.
True.
So this is a big credit
To Pakistan.
to Pakistan, because we had good pledges towards the environment cause. So we need to multiply this effect, and for multiplier this, the plantation is not the only thing. Though plantation would also be generating some local livelihood alternatives, some others, like there is also the government is bringing honeybee project for the export. This will be exporting to the local livelihood, local communities, not only in the alpine region but also in the coastal region. So same, we need to have some other initiative for the overall ecosystem restoration. For overall ecosystem restoration, we need to bring some green policies in other sectors. We are already working on the renewables. And for the renewables, this green bond would, I believe that this will be quite instrumental to gear up our already, that's
All right.
yeah.
All right.
And secondly, we need to take our individual's responsibility, particularly for the waste reduction, because waste is a major challenge for Pakistan.
True, that I think waste reduction is something that's very important. We'll discuss that later in the show. Commander Saab, when it comes to the Pakistan Navy, it has also been very instrumental in order to bring forth an environment that promotes a cleaner and greener Pakistan. Would you highlight some of those efforts?
Yeah, thank you so much. Pakistan Navy, hands in with the federal government, is actually making a way ahead in the regards to the environmental restoration, or in other words, ecosystem restoration. For over decades or so, Pakistan Navy has been conducting different exercises and drills and manifestation in different forms of seminars and webinars and lectures and articles. Practically what we are doing is that we are doing for over a couple of years planting the trees, Plant for Pakistan. Over 2 million trees so far have been planted. So far over 7 million mangroves have been planted in the entire coastal region. So apart from that, Pakistan Navy is doing different forms and in different diverse ways of anti-pollution measures. Like in the harbors, we have actually the waste management committees, waste management organizations to look after that all the sludge and waste that is solid or liquid, whatever type of waste, it is handled in accordance with the international conventions. So Pakistan Navy, at the same time, we celebrate this day every year, and wherein there's an array of activities actually that Pakistan Navy conducts through the commands, and it starts with the plantation of a tree by the Chief of the Naval Staff himself, and that trickles down to every tier of command staff till the grassroots level.
All right, that's wonderful, and I think these initiatives are very important in order to curtail the effects of climate change, because as we all know, Pakistan is one of the most vulnerable countries when it comes to the effects of climate change.
Exactly.
And it's very important that everybody come together as one in order to move forward, in order to make Pakistan cleaner and greener. Now, Dr. Anjum Sarfaraz Sahab, you were talking of sludge, and of course all Commander Sahab has also talked about that. How does one dispose of the sludge? Because you know this sludge is deposited in different forms, in different areas, in the deep sea, in the sea as well, on the beach as well. How does one dispose of that, and what is a greener form or manifestation of disposing of that? That does not create even more fuel or emission that could further destroy the layer, the ozone layer or the environment?
So to start with, sludge, first of all, it is prohibited strictly as per IMO rules.
Okay.
That no ship, whether it is a warship or a merchant ship, can dispose of its sludge in the ocean. Because if a small sludge is discharged in the ocean, virtually it comes to the coast and makes the coast dirty. So it is strictly monitored, and as I said, our MSA is doing that, and we have a system in our port, both for the warships and for the merchant ships. When they come alongside, we have the connections, and the this I am talking of the sewerage.
All right.
The sewerage connections, through those connections, pipes, it goes to the tanks, and from there it is disposed of. For sludge, which is fuel,
of course.
we can call it bilges. For that, we have the truck system. The trucks, they come to the jetty, and the sludge is disposed of to the trucks, and then, by the way, it is sold at a different price, and it is recycled, and it is being utilized. So my point over here is that it is well looked after by Pakistan, that our own ships, our foreign ships, warships, whatever may be, they should not be allowed to pollute our sea, in harbor, and
I think that's a very important measure, and that I really commend the Pakistan Navy for taking such measures. Now, Dr. Kanwar Javed Saab, when we talk of recycling, that Dr. Saab has also pointed out, plastic recycling or other such effects that create harm to the environment, how does one recycle, and how is the Pakistan Navy or your organization, that is the NEMA, contributing towards the whole recycling process?
Our organization, NEMA, National Institute of Maritime Affairs, is basically a think tank. So we advocate solutions, basically. We develop some solutions from our research.
All right.
We identify solutions, and we advocate it to the relevant stakeholders. For the waste is a serious issue, we believe it. So for that, we advocate that proper waste management should be done. In whether it is plastic waste, if the government is bringing policy, it should be properly implemented, number one. Number two, if it is concerned with the liquid waste or the effluent being discharged untreated, so we advocate that the waste should be treated properly. Like, for example, if the waste is discharged from Kurangi industrial area, that mostly from tanneries and other industrial clusters, so that there is a treatment plant there, but that effectiveness of that treatment plant or the relevance or the adequacy, that is question mark, because the tanneries and others, they need tertiary level treatment. So this is a question mark. Then there is a domestic waste, TP2 is there, but its functional aspect is still question mark. And no, the city is expanded over a period of time. This urbanization component is there. So government should bring some concrete measure or the policy and practical steps to control urbanization.
All right.
Urbanization is also leading contributing towards the poor waste management. Waste management is particularly, if you talk about the solid waste management, because the plastic waste and others, so this is a collective responsibility, not only the municipalities involved, but also the individuals at the level of to reduce it at source, and then segregate it properly and properly dispose options. For the disposal, segregation, collection system, in Karachi, if you talk about, because this is the mega coastal city, for that we should have proper waste segregation, collection and all others. And for that we need to equip the KMC or the other municipality, because this is the responsibility of the local government system. And without functional aspect, in true sense, and allocation of the proper resources, so we cannot achieve such progress. What we have identified problem in this, because this is unattended issue, and responsible agency is the local municipality, and the local municipality has capacity issue. So we advocate that the capacity of the local capacity in terms of technology, technology is well known. Its implementation is problem. resource allocation, properly budgeting, and then I don't want to comment. Then there are some other factors also that some hurdles and some other you can say it the functional aspect of the organizations or the government institution. That's also question mark.
All right.
So we need to we need to address that. After the 18th constitutional amendment, environment is very much now the provincial segment. But on the other side, if you talk about the maritime environment, this is a very tricky question, because if you are at sea and beyond 12 nautical miles, then you are under the control of Federal Environment Agency. And Federal Environment Protection Agency, I don't know how it is connected with the people at sea, or the PMSA is doing wonderful job. Or I would say that PMSA, the connection between PMSA and Federal EPA should be, tightened. It should be, there should be more coordination.
All right.
In this, and for that federal agency should be capacitated, because this is jurisdiction issue. Then in 12 nautical territorial, then provincial capacities and their clarity of the mandate, that should, because if waste collection, generation, collection and its treatment, then finally disposal for the solid waste, on the other side for the liquid effluent that is entering into the sea, polluting your beaches, beautiful beaches. That's now if you go in Karachi, the entire beach is polluted. This is first situation. A decade ago, I used to go there in some restaurants in the Clifton Beach side. But now if you go and if you go for a dinner during the night time, there is bat falling. So how you can bring some foreign
But that, of
tourists and
course,
other.
Dr. Saab, is a collective responsibility.
collective
It's not only that of the government, but also of the people themselves, not to put down waste, and also of the different forces that are working together. Speaking of the forces, Commander Saab, maritime and marine pollution control programs includes one that is known as the Barracuda exercise. Would you give us a bit of detail about that?
Yeah. Actually, Barracuda exercises, they got started in 2007. In year 2007, it was the first one that was conducted. Actually, it is a cohesion, collective cohesion between initially it was started at the national level, wherein Pakistan Maritime Security Agency, in collaboration with Pakistan Navy, oil marketing companies and other stakeholders of Pakistan, they collectively sat down and basically drilled the responses in case of marine pollution on our coast. And at the same time, extending to it, the exercise was also taken out at sea, wherein the harbour phase was conducted and the sea phase, and as an output of the marine pollution, search and rescue exercise was also exercised in that context. But with the passage of time, the exercise kept evolving, and for the past recent years, for several exercises, they have been conducted in the international arena as well, wherein the international observers and international ships do participate in the exercise, and it's a big effort actually, and wherein Pakistan, along with the other stakeholders, has equipped itself to counter us, and I won't say the best level of the oil spillage, but to a considerable level of oil spillage in the coast.
All right. Because I feel that, whether it be the government, as Dr. Saab has pointed out, whether it be the forces such as yours, that is the Pakistan Navy, I think the collective efforts are extremely important and essential for, the country to move forward as far as dealing with environmental pollution is concerned, because this is one of the main causes of the environment to get corroded or polluted, and all this green emissions and so on and so forth, and the ozone layer being destroyed. Dr. Anjum Sarfaraz Saab, when we come to mangroves, on one side we are planting mangroves, on the other side people are also cutting down the trees as well. What is, in order to get some kind of energy or some kind of fuel through wood, what could be the alternative for that?
So very good question you have asked. mangroves, they grow, as you know, in the marshy lands, and their main growth is alongside the coast. So what happened is that the poor people, they are residing along the coast. They don't have any source of energy for cooking their food and things like that. So what they do, they go and they cut the mangroves, although they take a lot of efforts for them to cut the mangroves and then drag it through the marshy lands and bring it to their homes. But they have no alternate, so they do it. What suggestion is that if the LPG system, which is now very common in the villages, especially in Punjab and in other villages also, so the LPG, one cylinder costs about 1200 to 1300 rupees, and an average small family consume about 1.5 cylinder in a month. So 1.5 cylinder costs 2000 rupees. So if the government decides to supply the LPG all along the coastal areas and other villages which are along the coast, they can buy it and they will not go towards mangroves. They will, in fact, they will try, and since the easy solution is available to them, so they will not go over there. I just give you an example. In Punjab, for example, I know my district is Dina and located in Jhelum. In Dina, one company has established a LPG station, and they have their small vehicles. They load those cylinders and they supply throughout the villages. And the villagers over there, they take the cylinders and they use it. And before that, believe you me, they used to go to jungle, forest, and they used to deforest, and they used to cut the trees and all that, very expensive trees as well. And that because they had no source of energy. Now this alternate is available, so they are not going over there and doing more efforts. This is easier. So if it is spread along the coast,
or replicated along the coast.
along the coast, and as well as in other villages also, where like in the northern areas, and where there are more villages in the northern area where the deforestation is maximum. So if they are provided the alternate energy source, they will not go for that. And to compensate that, what I would suggest that Sui Northern and Sui Southern. For example, I am living in Islamabad. My overall average bill of Sui gas in a monthly is 3,000 or 3,500, and I just have to light a matchstick and I get all the facilities. And if those people, their LPG cylinders are subsidized, and their Sui gas prices are increased and cylinder prices are decreased, obviously the people will go
Opt
and
for
do
the
that.
LPG.
And this will be alternate energy source, and of course
Yeah, I think
they
this-
will go for that.
It's a very good option, and let's see how the government responds to that. But of course, it's a very good suggestion that you've put. Cleaner technology is very important, Dr. Qamar Javed Saab. And of course, you being an environmentalist, I'm sure that you always opt for that, and you talk about that, and you try to put up measures, and you propose those measures to different organizations, including the government of Pakistan. Now, when it comes to Pakistan's industries, whether it be the textile industry or other industries, there is a huge issue as far as bringing forth cleaner technology is concerned. Before the show, we were talking about the chrome recycling plants with you as well. Would you tell our viewers as well about how that chrome recycling plant could work, and what are the hazardous effects of chrome on the human body?
Okay, well, basically, cleaner technologies options. Those were these options were advocated, or work was started during the late 90s. This is not new subject in Pakistan or the globe as well. And but its adoption ratio, or its we can have some debate on that. That there is a question mark. But there were a lot of effort by the federal government done, and also some international donor agencies because they had concern leather and textile Pakistan's. This export oriented industries.
course.
And the European countries are the major consumers for that. They are the markets. So so there, the donors from the European sides and others, they had concern about the quality of the leather or the other products like the textile and others. So in leather, what's the residual chrome if there, then the consumer, European consumer, our consumer, you know, we have literacy issue. No, it's pretty good, but during the last and the earlier decade, it was very worst. So we are thinking how to secure our bread, our nation. But they are thinking beyond because their literacy level is high. So they are well aware of about the hazardous things they are wearing and present into that. So a background story was this, and those initiatives were basically taken or initiated by the foreign donor agencies in Pakistan in collaboration with the federal ministry, when it was a federal subject, Ministry of Environment. So in leather and textile industries, there was some cleaner technologies were introduced, like what you are talking about, the chrome recycling. But when we were, I worked in the leather sector from 2002 to 2004, and for environmental management system, and we were supposed to introduce the technological solution, cleaner technology for the cleaner production in order to maintain our market value of the product, and at the same time to safeguard the environment, because the leather sector was the worst polluter, and the waste was discharged. Even nowadays, today, though Kasur has a combined effluent treatment plant, but on the other side, if you go in Muridke and other areas, so there were some issues about the treatment. Then individual industrial treatment plants were, the government negotiated with the private sector, and they agreed upon on the timeline, and then the treatment, end of pipe treatment. But before the end of pipe treatment, chrome problems comes. That cleaner technology says that if you have some batch washing and you recycle chrome, reuse it again, do not drain it, and you reuse it. But what I have experienced, or the story from a technician, chief technical officer from a leather industry, he said that we have its quality issue, that they have to reinforce the other. So we tried to advocate that. This was our task in the organization I was working. So this was our task, our team members, various team members, they were working, and we made some efforts to change their mindset, because changing the mindset for the environmental cause is also important thing. The same for the lifestyle. And chrome, one research I would quickly share, that there was one research on the chrome in the Muridke that my organization did, where I was serving in the past. We found that the chrome in the paddy crops, because in and around there are rice crop is grown. So we had trials on the rice, and the chrome we found in the grain. So you can see how much, and this is carcinogenic. Same in the Karachi, chrome was discharged and it is entering into the sea. So through the food chain, through the fish and the marine food, it is again coming back to the human being or the consumption to the population level. So it is entering into my food chain, so having a threat. So for that we need to have proper cleaner technological solutions, and for that private sector's role is critically important, and government's role is to make its compliance. Compliance is a major issue in Pakistan. But on the other side, the private sector needs to have, when you go for the technological options, cleaner technology and environmental pollution abatement, there is a cost involved. And for the cost, the economic operator, you need to convince.
All right. And it's very important to convince, in fact, not only your economic sector, but also your normal public, your layman, and make him educated about the effects of pollution, about the effects of polluting the environment. Which brings me to Commander Faisal Khan Jadoon Sahab. In the Navy, of course, you get trained for different subjects. How do you people get trained as far as taking care of the environment is concerned? Whether it be the no use of plastic, whether it be not dumping things out in the open, whether it be also planting as much of small plants and seeds whenever you get the opportunity. What are the different measures that are undertaken during your training?
Yeah, it's basically a great question. Actually, that is put in our blood, I would say, and start from the academy. We are inculcated into it. While in the academy days, during the beach cleaning, we take part in that, and subsequently it keeps going on. And but very recently, as I said, when we celebrate the World Environment Day, so actually there are a series of activities that we undertake, and that includes, as earlier said as well, that there are lectures that are conducted in the Pakistan Navy run schools and colleges on environment. The people, the officers and men and civilians, they take part in the beach cleaning. On the Pakistan Navy organizations, or I would say the units and establishments, there are these separate bins for everything now that have been bifurcated, that okay, what to put in what. And these barrier colleges, schools and colleges, their children, the students, they also do participate in some instances in the beach cleaning exercises. And there are competitions, article writing competitions as well throughout the Navy, wherein how to preserve the environment and to maintain a great ecosystem for our next generations to come. So different topics are given, wherein the different organizations under command, they write an article wherein they give different solutions for the future prospects. So there are an array of actually activities that are conducted or that are undertaken by Pakistan Navy to mitigate the environment deforestation and environment pollution aspects and restoration.
I think these are efforts that are really commendable, because it is very important to sensitize the normal public and also our forces, our youth in the forces, so that when they also dissipate the information, information goes from word of mouth. You tell somebody, somebody else tells it to a third person. That is how, people get to understand, especially when it comes to the forces, people value the word of mouth coming from a person who works for a force, whether it be the Air Force, whether it be the Navy or the Army. And so it's even more important for people of the forces of Pakistan to understand what environmental pollution means and how to reduce the effects of environmental pollution to the maximum. I'd like to thank all three of my guests today to have very openly and candidly talked about the issues that concern Pakistan and how to mitigate the effects of environmental pollution. Today is the World Environment Day, and I thought it was extremely important to understand and to value what the environment means for Pakistan, for a country that is quite vulnerable to the effects of climate change. So the more we sensitize our youth and our people and even our elderly as far as the different effects of climate change and how to counter those effects, the more we will get towards a cleaner and greener Pakistan. Thank you very much, Dr. Anjum Sarfaraz. Thank you very much, Dr. Qamar Javed. And thank you very much, Commander Faisal Khan Jadoon Sahab, to have talked to us and to have shared this with the PTV World family and also with our viewers across the globe. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of today's show. Environment protection is a collective responsibility. It's not just the responsibility of the Pakistan Navy or that of the media or that of the other forces. It's a responsibility of every single citizen of Pakistan or the world. When you get together and you work as one towards alleviating any problem, only then does that problem get solved. And environmental pollution, Climate change is one of those things, one of those issues that we need to work collectively, jointly upon before it gets too late. So work together, work for Pakistan. Allah Hafiz.